Hello, everyone. Welcome to VRIC Media, your most trusted voice in metals and mining. I'm your host, Gerald Thomas, and today we have the pleasure of sitting with a trend forecaster who has predicted many things before they have happened in the economy and markets. He is the publisher of the Trends Journal, Gerald Celente. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. I'm glad you're doing okay. There's not a lot of things to feel okay about in today's world and society. You know, I consume a lot of your content, and it's a lot of things to be frustrated about, but it's always good to have some optimism in there.
Well, I don't have optimism in the sense that, you know, I'm watching the world being destroyed in front of us socially, economically, spiritually. You know, I launched a movement called Occupy Peace well over a decade ago. And I have another peace rally coming up on September 27th up here in Kingston, New York, on John and Crown Street. It's the most historic four corners in America, where the seeds of democracy were sown. And I was thinking to myself, what do you want to do, occupy peace or occupy war? And tell me, what God do you believe in? You know, all these people that call themselves so religious people, I'm an evangelical, this or that, oh God, you know, all you people that believe in these 10 commandments, what happened to thou shalt not kill? Scratch that one off, get rid of it. So you ask me how I'm feeling, I'm blessed for everything I have, but I'm very heartbroken for a lot of what I see. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I appreciate that candid response. Just want to cover a few things today, for sure. Definitely want to dive into the AI bubble that Sam Altman of ChatGPT or OpenAI has warned of, and you actually came out with a piece that you've been covering for a while, .com bust 2.0, and just want to get your take on that, because that's very concerning that the markets are continuously rallying today. Jerome Powell came out, and it looks like the Fed may pivot. And it seems like more steam was blown into the bubble, and so want to get your perspective there.
Okay, on the AI, let's go back to January. I know that's for a lot of people, that's ancient history. All of a sudden, this thing, DeepSeek, comes out. A who? A what? Oh, from China. AI. Now, it didn't cost us $100 million to make this thing up. It only cost us $6 million. And we don't need all these big NVIDIA chips. We could use smaller ones. What happened? NVIDIA's stock slumped, some 17% in a couple of days, lost $600 billion. Trends are born, they grow, mature, reach old age, and die. So let's use the language from Altman. They say that the AI was built in 2022, the AI trend. It's 3 years old. It's an infant. Again, trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. You don't invest all your money in the first companies, manufacturing, high tech, whatever they want to be, that invent something. It's just been invented. But like the .com bust, they over-invented when the whole internet revolution began, and have started investing in things that made no sense. Number two, in trend forecasting, you make connections between different fields. One of our sayings is, opportunity misses those who view the world through the eyes of their profession. Okay. When DeepSeek hit the markets, the next week, the cover of our Trends Journal was .com bust 2.0. And here's why. Once upon a time, this is a T-shirt that I got made back in 1992, when this little arrogant boy of nothing, that's worth about $150 million now, ran for president. See that?
Yep.
Where is Slick Willie? Oh, that's the guy. I didn't have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. She only took my... Yeah, that guy. He brings China into the World Trade Organization. I'm going back to AI. They officially come in 2 weeks after 9/11, 2001. In 2000, 10% of Chinese 18-year-olds went to college. 10%. Today, nearly 70%. Country 1.4 billion versus the United States, what, 347 million? Young people are totally AI, high-tech addicted. The Chinese government's pumping a lot of dough into the AI sectors. And the young people are the ones that are going to be the advancing in this. So China is going to lead the world in AI, and Altman knows it. There's going to be a dot-com bust 2.0. You mentioned today with the markets going up because Powell signaled that they're going to lower interest rates. I mean, what is it? Dow, last time I looked, it was up like 900 points. The NASDAQ, yeah, everything flying up. Wait a minute. Everything was down for the last 5 days. Oh, you mean because you're lowering interest rates, that's going to change the AI future? And by the way, the stocks are way overvalued. You know, the PE ratio is what, like a 24, 22 something. It's usually about 18. So they're overinflating it. And August is a very funny month. And particularly at the time we are now, this is the height of the holiday season, last 2 weeks of August. It doesn't take a lot of companies to rig the market because less people are playing it right now. Very important. Watch for the dot-com bust to happen around October. That's when reality hits the street again. Right now, people are in a summer state of mind. So that's where we see it going with that. And very important also, look what gold prices went up. As we went on the air, they went up like $36 today. Why? Because they're lowering interest rates. The lower interest rates go, the higher inflation is going to go. And the lower interest rates go, the deeper the dollar falls. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices rise. Gold is dollar-based. So now when other currencies go up, it's cheaper to buy gold. And they're going to keep buying more of it. So that's where we see it going.
Yeah. So thinking of like October, you know, if it happens around this time frame, how bad do you think this bust could be?
As bad as again, look at the MIT numbers that came out. All these AI companies, zero profits.
Yeah.
Just came out. Again, we've been reporting this in the Trends Journal since January 28th. We call the dot-com bust. It totally ignored. Now everybody's starting to talk about it. It's going to crash the markets terribly. The Magnificent Seven that artificially props up everything. And the NASDAQ. And check it out, man. 3 companies. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Own what? 88% of the S&P 500? You can't make this crap up. You know, as an Italian, used to be this guy called Mussolini. Not fond of him. He said the merger of state and corporate powers is fascism. Welcome to the USSA, man. Corporations are running the show. Again, 3 companies on the S&P 500. What are you kidding me? When I was a young man, there were no private equity groups. There were no venture capitalists. There were no hedge funds.
Yeah, that is true. So with this whole move with Trump and the Fed, like, how are you seeing that relationship there? It seems like his administration is getting more involved with the Fed and such. And then, there's been a couple of things with a couple of the Fed governors that has happened so far, and then even his interactions with Jerome Powell. How are you viewing that?
Again, with trend forecasting, we only look at the facts, not what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you wish for. It's what it is. Let's go back to more ancient history, 2018, December. The worst Dow since the Great Depression. What did Trump do? Forced Powell to lower interest rates. What did Powell do? January, interest rates go down. It used to be this guy, George Carlin, great guy. Matter of fact, his brother, Patrick, worked for me for a while. He said, there's one big club and you ain't in it. They're trying to make us believe that the Fed is independent. Once upon a time, not too long ago, there was this woman, as we'd call in Italian, Miss Faccia Brut, Janet Yellen. What was Janet Yellen? Oh, she was the former Fed head. Oh, yeah, but what happened under Biden? Oh, she was the U.S. Treasury Secretary. Wait a minute. You mean the former Fed head became the U.S. Treasury Secretary? They're in complete control. It's only a game that they're making the people look at to think that they're independent. Facts are there.
Yeah, for sure. So just thinking about this one big club and we ain't in it. Obviously, you do a lot of forecasting on gold, Bitcoin and such. And so just thinking about like self-sovereignty and how people can, position themselves to weather whatever storms are coming. What are you all seeing on that front?
Well, again, we don't give financial advice. We're forecasters. Go back to the Trends Journal last year. Top trend, golden year for gold. Went up, 27%, 2024, 2025. When Trump got elected, we didn't think gold prices would go up. But what happened? All the tariffs, all the uncertainty, gold prices spiked. And we see them going higher. And again, now with the dollar going down, more interest rates go down, the deeper the dollar falls. This isn't, this is simple. And again, the deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices go up. The gold's dollar based. And we see more of that. We're very bullish on gold, and we're bullish on Bitcoin. We have been for a decade, and then we came over bullish on it. Again, in the Bronx, we used to say bullshit has its own sound. And let's go back to Trump in 2020, 21, making fun of Bitcoin, calling it, without the exact quote, but calling it a fraud. Saying it was going to hurt the dollar and get rid of this thing. What happens? He runs for office in 2024, and he gets over $100 million from the big guys in the crypto team. And then what happens? He wins the race, and they give him tens of millions of dollars for his inauguration. Oh, and then what happens? His kid gets into it. He's into it. Guys that are in his cabinet, Lutnick, his kid's in it. His friends are in it. His team is in it. Follow the money. And again, the old Bronx saying, money talks, bullshit walks. And the money's talking. And the more they're invested in it, the higher prices are going to go. So when they went down from what we hit, like Bitcoin, 123,000 or something a coin, and it went down to 117,000, 16,000, 12,000. Oh my God. Yeah, wait a minute. The price doubled almost since he got in office. So it's going to keep going. And the world is going stable coin. I mean, who could make up a word stable coin? What's stable? Who makes this crap up? It's the future, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. They know every penny you spent, what you spent it on, where you spent it, and so they could get you tax money, number one. And it's just going to keep increasing. And I believe the United States, as we say, they're going to, quote, go from dirty cash to digital trash. If Bitcoin wasn't in the game and the other cryptos that the bigs are invested in, gold prices would be more than double. Yeah, for sure. And so, obviously the Genius Act and this whole stablecoin, the stablecoin initiatives that are out there. CBDCs, that's a big issue for a lot of people. And Trump came out and said that he wasn't going. I think he signed something that he wasn't going to issue a CBDC. But then this act comes out, and so it seems like both of those are in conflict with each other, because this seems like another way that this can be issued. A CBDC could be issued. Absolutely. Look at that guy Bessent pushing stable coins. I mean, who made up this word stable coin? What kind of crap is this? And it's the future. It's the way, again, let's go back to AI. when I say the world is digital, it's digitized. Once upon a time, you go into a bar and people would talk to each other. Not anymore. Boop, I'm on the phone. Hey, go to a restaurant. Watch two people in a restaurant. Watch people walk down the street. All right? It's the future. It's the world. Again, one of our trends is AI, we own you. And as the other cover of the magazine a couple of weeks ago was the King James Bible got it wrong. The meek have not inherited the earth. The geeks have. And they're not smartphones, they're slave phones. So this is the people will be totally satisfied with this. Go to China. They ain't using credit cards or cash. Put palm of your hand will tell the story. Everything is digitized. It's the future. And it's just going to keep declining. And by the way, I don't carry a cell phone. I did work for the cellular telecommunications industry going back to like the mid-1990s when there were boxes in the backs of trunks with aerials coming out of the car. And I've been studying the radio frequency radiation and the dangers of these things since then. And the facts are there. Go to the University of California at Berkeley. You're on a cell phone for 17 minutes a day for 10 years, your chances of getting a brain tumor only increase by 60%. Read the articles in the Trends Journal about particularly how all the young kids are getting all screwed up because it's so digitized on everything. The whole world is that. No real world out there. Another article we were putting out about how people stop reading. When I was a kid, I was the youngest of five. Again, I grew up in the Bronx. I remember my mother, may she rest in peace, reading golden books to me. These little books, fairy tale stuff. And now the latest data come out that only 2% of the mothers are reading to children. They're not reading. People don't read newspapers. They don't read any. They're not reading. And so the whole world is digitized. And so too is going to be the financial sector. The world is going to be totally digital.
Yeah. There was a recent report that came out, I think it was out of Microsoft, about which jobs are going to be in danger from AI, or which I think AI is already replacing some of the jobs that people were typically doing, especially even behind a computer screen. Do you have any forecast on that?
Oh, they're going to keep going out. Again, this guy Ackman, the billionaire, he's investing in this company where they're teaching school through AI. He's totally learned by AI. And very important. Well, again, it's not a government, it's a government school system. It's not a public school system. They teach you crap, they want to brainwash you in any way they can. And this AI is going to do the same thing. AI can make up whatever it wants, can tell the story any way it wants. One of my books, put it over here it is. This was an international bestseller, Trends 2000. It's 1996, 97. And I wrote about interactive view. Remember, this is the beginning of the internet revolution, just started really rocking out. And I said, people are going to be learning more and more online and at home. And now this AI, you're going to see a whole new education system. AI developed. It is going to, again, teach the people and put them under the control. AI is going to take over a lot of jobs. There's no question about it. Just like the Industrial Revolution. Before that, people were making things by hand and on their own. Machines weren't doing it. But there was the transition. Now you're working in a factory. There'll be another transition. There'll be a drop in jobs, but something else will happen. And again, there's no question that there'll be less and less job opportunities. And that's what we're saying to young people. Rather than taking worthless courses in college, why don't you learn a trade? Because AI is not going to be able to do plumbing or electric work or a lot of other things. So get hip on that, because it's going to job go. But again, the trend has just been born. So it's going to continue to escalate and more jobs will be lost.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking too good, especially just thinking about we already have this government debt problem. The big, beautiful bill, I think multiple sources say that's going to increase the deficit. We already have a lot of entitlements, but just thinking about, the amount of job losses in the future from, things such as AI, I wonder how much that could even add to the government stimulus, per se.
What they'll do, I think they're going to come up with a coin and say this coin is worth a lot more than the dollar was, and we just got rid of our debt load. They'll make up anything. Here, sometimes people call me a futurist, and I say, no, nobody could predict the future. There are too many wild cards, whether made by humans or nature. Back in 2012, I thought the equity markets would crash. I tell you, we're having a peace rally up here. I bought 3 buildings on the most historic 4 corners of America. One was empty for 5 years, 1774 Academy. It was one of the first public schools in America. Another one I bought in foreclosure. This is 2012. Interest rates were, mortgage rates were like 2-point-something%. And I bought another one, the Franz Roggen House, 1715 house. I thought things would crash. They didn't teach me about zero interest rate policy or a thing called quantitative easing in Economics 101 at graduate school, all right? They make up anything. And the markets went back up. Look what happened, again, when Trump locked down America on March 13th, 2020, to fight the COVID war. Whoop, interest rates went down to zero, and they pumped in trillions of dollars, him and Biden, to artificially prop up the economy. I thought the markets would crash when they locked down the country. I thought housing prices would go down when they locked down the country. I didn't know they would bring interest rates to zero and pump in trillions of dollars. Hey, stay home, here's some money, here, go on, here. And how about the billions, the hundreds of billions that they gave to the big companies? So they'll do anything. They'll make up anything. People call it a government. I call it a crime syndicate. Yeah, that's true. And this was one of the most frustrating things for me was, it's nothing surprised me. It's hard to find an honest guy in this political realm. But, just thinking about even inflation, Trump, he ran on inflation. He said he's going to bring costs down and all these things, but he failed to admit his contribution to inflation, especially now that you mentioned they locked down the economy. He was in office. He wanted to sign his names on those checks. Biden was in office about 3-4 months when inflation started ticking up. And so to put all the blame on one administration and refuse to acknowledge his contributions to inflation, was ludicrous. And so, I just knew it was bullshit at that point. Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, I knew it before that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying both of them caused it, And again, he was the guy that forced the COVID jab too, that sold it. And you go back, we wrote in the Trends Journal where Biden and Harris were making fun of him back when Biden won the election, and in December or November rather, about that he had the quote Operation Warp Speed jab, and they were making fun of him, saying that he pushed this through to get more votes, and they became total big champions of it. So it's just hypocrisy on one side after another. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I used to work on major political campaigns in Westchester County. I designed and instructed a course called American Politics and Campaign Technology. I taught at St. John's University. I was the chief government affairs specialist for the chemical industry. Back in the 70s, I was killing environmental legislation at the height of the environmental movement. I was a young guy, and all I wanted to do was make money, and of course do other things too. But And so I didn't care. And I started to grow up around when I was 32. And the book I came out with back in 1989, it's called Trend Tracking. And I was in D.C. when the Iranian conflict broke out and how they taught us to hate Iran without ever saying how the United States and the UK overthrew the democratically elected government of Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran in 1953, because Mossadegh had the nerve to say that no, that oil does not belong to Anglo-Iranian Oil, better known today as BP, or Standard Oil, better known today as ExxonMobil. It belongs to the Iranian people. No, it doesn't. The MI6 and the CIA, the facts are all there. Kermit Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt's son, grandson, and Winston Churchill. The emails are all there, the telegrams are all there, how they overthrew the government. And that's when I became a political atheist. And that's when I realized the crap I was doing, I shouldn't be doing anymore. But again, I wouldn't know what I know if I wasn't on the other side. I have a picture of me when I picked up Ronald Reagan in 1976. I was 30 years old, and put on a brunch for him and 16 of our board of directors. So again, I've been with presidents, prime ministers, and princes. I wouldn't know what I know if I wasn't on the other side. So I learned. And as I say, to me, both political parties are nothing more than a crime syndicate.
Yeah, for sure.
The copper market, of course, is the biggest metal market on the planet, 200 to 300 billion globally of metal traded. Following majors around and picking up projects that they jettison can lead to great success in this business. Vizsla Copper, we're the team that brought you successes including ISO Energy and Vizsla Silver. If you want to learn more, you can find us at vizslacopper.com. So
this week there was news, with Trump and the EU and Zelensky.
They were all meeting, and then Trump and Putin had a meeting on Friday. I kind of dove into just like each side of the conflict's interests, and they seem to be very incompatible. And Putin's wanting a peace agreement, which is different than a ceasefire and such. And so I'm interested in your take on that. And do you think they're going to reach a peace agreement, or what? What's kind of your perspective there?
This is the Trends Journal back in 2014. It used to be a quarterly. It's a weekly now. See how happy that guy is? It's the United States overthrow of the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine. Here's an article. Washington is driving the world to the final war. World hegemony is not a right America has earned, by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who's the former Assistant Secretary of the Treasury of the United States under Reagan. He goes on to write, Washington concluded that Russia needed to be confronted with or distracted by problems that would leave the Russian government less confident or able to counter Washington's aggression elsewhere. Ukraine presented the perfect opportunity for Washington to advance its hegemonic agenda. In a speech at the National Press Club last December, meaning 2013, Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland boasted that Washington had invested $5 billion in non-governmental organizations in Ukraine for the purpose to, quote, teach democracy. They overthrew the government. People have no idea about this. They have no idea about the Azovs, the Ukrainian troops with their Nazi insignias that killed over 15,000 people in the Donbass region that are Russian, and how they want to force them to speak not Russian anymore, but Ukrainian. Again, I told you I launched Occupy Peace. One of the things I read are George Washington's farewell address. This is a real man that fought, not like these little fat-mouthed boys that can't fight their way out of a paper bag. He tells the American people not to become involved in these foreign entanglements, basically because they've been going on for centuries, and we're not going to fix it. So let's go back to Ukraine. When did it become Ukraine? Oh, under Khrushchev, Soviet president. Before that, what was it? Oh, it was only part of Russia for what, 325, 350 years? Again, this isn't our involvement. And then with the Biden administration, depending on whose numbers you look at, between $250 to $350 billion of our money, taxpayer money, to keep the war going. And now Russia's controlled over 20% of the land, particularly in the Donbass region. That's mostly Russian people that did not want to go along with the overthrow of Yanukovych. They're not going to give it back. They're not going to give back Crimea. Again, Crimea was part of Russia for centuries. And then they had an election in 2014, and monitored by the global organization that monitors elections, perfectly legal, over 96% of the people in Crimea said, we don't want to be with Ukraine, we want to be with Russia. They're not going to give back anything. So what have we been writing week after week, month after month, year after year? That the closer they get to try to getting a peace agreement, Ukraine's going to ramp up the war. And we're going to have a false flag event that's going to unite the people against Russia. And now, as I went on just before we went on the air, the news came out. Ukraine has just bombed another oil pipeline or refinery in Russia. They're going to ramp this thing up. Let's go back to more facts. Take a look at Germany. You like World War II? Nah, maybe you like World War I. Look at the little arrogant clown boy they got now as the chancellor, Merz. Merz? Oh, the guy with BlackRock? Oh, the BlackRock, Vanguard and State Street that own 88% of the S&P 500? Yeah, that BlackRock. The chancellor? Germany's in recession for 2 years. Biggest economy in Europe, third largest in the world. What are they doing? $1 trillion in debt to build up our military. We have to stop those Russians. Oh, we're going to build up our infrastructure too so they could hold the tanks. Oh, you mean the Russians, the Germans with Operation Barbarossa in World War II that killed 25 million Russians? Oh, that Germany? Oh, and now under Trump, you got to spend 5% of your GDP on defense? Oh, Porsche. All the businesses are going down. Car sales are going down. Now Porsche is getting into the military-industrial complex. One country after another. One of my lines is, when all else fails, they take you to war. We've got failing economies. They're going to take you to war. What followed the Great Depression, World War II? What followed the dot-com bust, the war on terror? And now you're going to see this go. They're going to ramp it up. There's not going to be a peace deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's been a huge amount of dollars or money spent on defense, and there's trends for that to continue going up, correct?
Again, if we've probably spent hundreds of trillions of dollars since World War II on defense. Not my language. The language of a guy that was a 2-term president, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces, and former General Dwight D. Eisenhower. The military-industrial complex, he said, is robbing the nation of the genius of the scientists, sweat of the laborers, and future of the children. Look at the country rotting in front of us. You know, I'm a New York City guy. New York City's a crap hole anymore. Take a subway in New York. It's a night in Calcutta. Amtrak? How about Amcrap? You been on any other high-speed rails around the world? Look at the roads with potholes everywhere, crappy bridges, lousy jobs, all the dough going. Oh, and Trump, $1 trillion for the military-industrial complex as he sold himself as a peace president. No, it's just they're in control. Again, Eisenhower won. 5-star general, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces, and 2-term president.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard you mention before, which I really like this line that you had said in some of your older videos, but China has been in the business of business, and the United States has been in the business of war. And you can see the difference in how China's infrastructure and such makes us look shame.
Yeah. And again, China, what messed China up is that they went to war. When they launched the COVID war on January 2020, on their Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the rat. And they locked down the joint with draconian lockdown mandates for 3 years. They destroyed their economy. It's going to take years to get it back. Again, I mentioned before China got into the World Trade Organization, I said 10% of Chinese 18-year-olds went to college, now almost 70. And then all the Western nations that wanted to get cheap labor, manufacturers, went to China. They gave China all the manufacturing and high-tech capabilities they never had. You look at China's GDP, 1970 to 2001, it's like that, and it shoots straight up. With every boom, there's a bust. And they overbuilt the real estate market. Depending on whose numbers you're looking at, there are some 90 million vacant apartments in China. And a lot of real estate that started to be built that stopped. This is a huge problem for them. And again, you make the ties. Almost every week we put, the sales in different sectors that are going on. Luxury sales are way down across the board. Why? China was buying up luxury like crazy. So, yes, China, the business of America has been war and the business of China has been business, but China inflicted it upon themselves when they launched that COVID war. Here, this was the cover of the Trends Journal magazine back on January 28th, 2020. And remember, it broke out 2 weeks earlier on the Chinese Lunar New Year. Coronavirus, 106 dead in China. Our next line, 1.4 billion still alive. What are you telling me this stuff for?
Mm-hmm.
People forget. I used to be on Hong Kong TV. I don't mean forgetting about that. They forget that there was protests going on in Hong Kong because China was taking over. And the deal made when the UK left was that Hong Kong would be basically independent for 40 years. Hong Kong's a city of 7.5 million people. Over 1 million people were taking to the streets day in and day out, and they couldn't stop it. You can't get 1 million people to take to the streets in America, 347 million. I'd be on like a show like with your, TV shows. And they say, Mr. Celente, I take a break. I say, look, Frank, what's going to happen? I said, the people are going to stop. He said, nope. He said, we're not going to let China take over. China launched the COVID war. You can't go out in the street. Get back in your house. You get arrested. Yep. And they stopped it. To me, that's why they launched the COVID war.
Yeah. So just thinking about, as we get ready to wrap up, just circling back to gold and the outlook there. I mean, the central banks around the world has been buying, and they continue to buy. The de-dollarization seems to be accelerating, especially since the Russia-Ukraine war started and the dollar was weaponized. And is this something that is just going to happen indefinitely till the demise of the dollar, or kind of what's your outlook there?
Nothing goes straight up or straight down. But gold is going to keep going up. The dollar is going to go down. A lot of countries, the BRICS, et cetera, have had enough of America's hegemony, the economic and the geopolitical. America became the country our founding fathers fought against. Again, the business of America is war. Let's go back to the UK. You could throw an F, a U, and a C in that one, too. Sun never sets on the British Empire. We have wars all over the world, and we kill anybody we want anywhere, but you have to save it properly.
And that's the other thing. I'm tired of hearing this king crap. What king? If they were Italian, they'd call them a mafia. A murderous bunch of slime balls. Don't you say that. Roll out the red carpet. They're all dressed up in their drag. And don't forget to kiss their hand. Yeah, those little slime balls. Oh, the data came out. They killed over 400 million people in India died during their occupation. Okay. War after war after war after war after war. So what happens? They destroyed their economy. After World War I, boop, the pound died, and the dollar became the king of the currencies. Now the same things happen with the United States. War after war after war after war. Spending more and more and more of our money on the military-industrial complex. We are killing our economy and the dollar just as other countries destroyed theirs in the past. And Occupy Peace, by the way, we're in about 800 bases overseas in about 70, 80 countries. Close them all down. Bring home the troops. Secure the homeland. And put the troops to work rebuilding our third world infrastructure. Give them skills. Because what the numbers are showing, some 20 veterans are killing themselves every day. So give them a spirit. And like the Work Progress Administration during the Great Depression, the Hoover Dam, all these bridges that were built, they put the poor people to work. That's what we want to do. And you want to go to war? Let the people vote. I don't need some clown politician telling me what to do. And anybody that votes for war, wants a war overseas, put on your drag costume, go over there and fight. Send your wife, your kids, your money, your transgenders, anybody, anything. Go over there and fight or shut your mouth. Got it? That's the way I feel about it. Anybody that supports a war overseas, go over there and fight. Send your dough or shut up.
Yeah, that's true. And, I think that this is the importance of the work you do with the Trends Journal. For me, being a father, young kids, just having to think about what the future looks like for them. And so, that's why I appreciate the work you do at Trends Journal. And, other people should consider checking it out. So how can people get involved with Occupy Peace? Check out the Trends Journal, some of the other work you're doing.
We go to occupypeace.com and trendsjournal.com. And again, it's $2.59 a week. Nothing. And it's over about 200 pages a week, from high-tech science to AI, technocracy, geopolitics, economics. It's a magazine. You read what you want. But we don't have any advertisers, so nobody tells us what to do. And again, the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself. And that's how I learned how to become a trend forecaster as a little kid, a young kid, in my early teens. My father would be driving me, rest in peace, and I'm in the back seat talking away, and he'd turn around and he'd look at me and he'd say, Papagallo, stop repeating what everybody else is saying. Papagallo means parrot. Stop repeating what everybody else is saying and think for yourself. And he said that to me a number of times, and I realized before I say something, I better have the facts to back it up. So we're talking before about the Israel war. We subscribe to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper. We go to Ynet, Times of Israel, Jerusalem Post. Want to hear what they have to say? Oh, we go to IRNA, ISNA, Press TV, Tehran Times. Want to hear what the Iranians have to say? Go to Arab News, Al Jazeera, Middle East Monitor, Middle East. Want to hear what the Arabs have to say? We go to Euronews, France 24, one after another. We hear what everybody has to say. And we say, this is what they're saying. This is our analysis. And this is where we see it going. So we're giving you all the sides. And then you think for yourself.
Yeah, that's important. And that's valuable. I mean, because oftentimes people are just caught up in their CNN or Fox News narratives, and And so it's important to see it from
It's
the
a
other
clown
side.
show. Listen, I used to be on everybody. I was on Oprah twice. I used to be on Fox all the time, CNBC, ABC, CBS, Good Morning America, on and on. They're prostitutes. They're media whores that get paid to put out by their corporate pimps and government whoremasters. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, appreciate you, Gerald, for coming on the show and everything. Everybody, be sure to go check out thetrendsjournal.com and as well as Occupy Peace. Hit the subscribe button. Love to have your support. And Gerald, love to have you get back on at some point.
Oh, thanks for having me, and thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate it.